So we have breaking news. A judge has been arrested in Wisconsin. I want to go through this and let's just jump right in. It's from the Milwaukee Journal Sentinel. It says Milwaukee County Circuit Judge Hannah Dugan charged with 2 felonies in ICE case. This was on April 25th, charged with 2 felonies for her role in helping an undocumented immigrant avoid arrest after he appeared in her courtroom last week, right? So something that happened last week, they arrested her today. And my understanding is this was like at 8 a.m. and she had a full work day ahead, and they just arrested her. So this is an increase on the attacks of judges from the Trump people, and that's why we had to go through it. Disturbing the whole thing. Dugan, 65, appeared before U.S. Magistrate Judge Stephen C. Dries during a brief hearing in a packed courtroom at the federal courthouse. She didn't make any comments, but then her lawyer said, Judge Dugan wholeheartedly regrets and protests her arrest. It was not made in the interest of public safety. Says here, Brady McCarran, spokesman for the U.S. Marshal Service in Washington, D.C., said Dugan is being charged with two federal felony counts, obstruction and concealing an individual. McCarran has also confirmed Dugan was arrested at about 8 a.m. at the Milwaukee courthouse. Pam Bondi made a statement on this. That's the Attorney General. She says, I can confirm that our FBI agents just arrested Hannah Dugan, a county judge in Milwaukee, for allegedly helping a legal alien avoid an arrest by ICE. No one is above the law. That's what Pam says. Patel, that's the FBI guy, and he actually posted something earlier, but then deleted it. So why he deleted the earlier post, I don't know, but this is what he posted just recently. Just now, the FBI arrested Judge Hannah Dugan out of Milwaukee, Wisconsin on charges of obstruction after evidence of Judge Dugan obstructing an immigration arrest operation last week. We believe Dugan intentionally misdirected federal agents away from the subject to be arrested in her courthouse. Eduardo Flores Ruiz, allowing the subject, an illegal alien, to evade arrest. Thankfully, our agents chased the perp on foot and has been in custody since. But the judge's obstruction created increased danger to the public. We will have more to share soon. Excellent work, FBI Milwaukee. So you're getting two different accounts from this. So they're saying that she obstructed and it was like not good for public safety, whereas the attorney then for the judge, right, is saying Judge Dugan wholeheartedly regrets and protests her arrest, and then saying her arrest, right, it was not made in the interest of public safety. Let's see what else we have to say here. Multiple Milwaukee County judges confirmed that the arrest took place at the courthouse, right? So basically she's going to work and they arrest her, and many people saw it. Chief Judge Carl Ashley confirmed the incident in an email to the courthouse officials. Reached in her courtroom on April 24th, Dugan declined to discuss the investigation. The veteran judge handles misdemeanor cases exclusively. Okay, so she, and I think she's been doing this a long time too. So she's 65. Officials have not yet identified the defendant whom she is accusing of assisting, but it appears to be Eduardo Flores Ruiz. And when they say that in these articles of like, the charges haven't been filed or we don't know exactly, because you'll hear reports coming from DC and Trump's people like verbally, but not necessarily written. So that's why I'll say that kind of stuff. And then I guess Ruiz was then in a pretrial conference on April 18th. According to federal court records, Flores Ruiz, 30, was arrested April 18th. Flores Ruiz is listed as being in ICE custody at the Dodge detention facility in Juneau, according to a federal online detainee locator system. That arrest marked at least the third time in recent months that federal immigration agents have come to the courthouse with arrest warrants. Okay. In March and early April, 2 people were arrested by ICE officials in hallways of the courthouse. Wow. So the reason why this is important, right? Can ICE make arrests at the courthouse? That's basically what this boils down to. And the judge is like, you can't make arrests in my courtroom. And then she would have directed the Flores Ruiz like out of the courtroom and tell the ICE agents out of the courtroom, and that's why they're saying obstruction. But there's a fight here because the judge wants to go through the process, right, due process, and the ICE just wants to make arrests at the like in the courthouse before the judge has finished her job. So that's why there's a dispute here. Just want to make sure that's clear. And I also want to read through these everything because it gets with legal stuff you want to get the details right. Um, Records show that Dugan had 25 cases on the morning of April 18th. So, right, the rest are 8, and then she had a full workday ahead. Flora Rua's case was set for 8:30 a.m. I see. He does not appear to have any other state or federal criminal offenses or charges. So he comes in. He comes in last week for like a pretrial thing, and then he's supposed to, the judge is supposed to hear the case at 8:30, but they arrest her at 8 p.m. Sorry, 8 a.m. before the case. If you understand what's going on. According to his criminal complaint, Flores Ruiz is charged with 3 counts of misdemeanor battery. That the charges include modifiers for domestic violence that could subject him to additional punishment if he is convicted. And you want to know what the charges are, so we'll go through it. The case stemmed from a fight on March 12th between 2 roommates at a home on the 3900 block. No one answered the door when the Journal Sentinel visited, so they tried to get a comment. No one answered. The criminal complaint said a fight occurred after Flores was accused of playing music too loudly in the home, so we're fighting over loud music. Complaint alleges Flores Ruiz punched another person 30 times. Wow. Then struck a woman with who tried to break up the melee. Okay, I understand. So 2 guys get in a fight over loud music, and then a woman also gets hurt. Each of the 3 Class A misdemeanors has a maximum penalty of 9 months in jail and a $10,000 fine. Dugan was elected to the Branch 31 of the Circuit Court in 2016 by knocking off an appointee. And the case here, like there's 2 separate things going on, right? So one would be Flora Ruiz is supposed to have his hearing, and whether or not that person is guilty or not guilty, let the judge decide, right? But we're arresting the judge before the judge can even rule on this particular case. That's why I want to go through this and make sure it's clear. And if you want to talk obstruction of justice stuff, which the Trump people are claiming, you could claim that the ICE agents are obstructing justice by not letting this case be heard, right? In this regard, and I just want to make it clear, this is it doesn't matter if someone's guilty or not guilty; they still have a right to a hearing, right? Before you just start arresting people. So this basically this is about due process. That's why it's important. Attorney Gimbel calls Dugan arrest outrageous. Franklin Gimbel, a prominent Milwaukee defense attorney and former federal prosecutor, called Dugan's arrest outrageous. First quote, "First and foremost, I know as a former federal prosecutor and as a defense lawyer for decades that a person who is a judge, who has a residence, who has no problem being found, should not be arrested, if you will, like some common criminal. And I'm shocked and surprised that the U.S. Attorney's Office or FBI would not have invited her to show up and accept the process if they're going to charge her with a crime." That's a good point, because the judge works in legal stuff all the time. I mean, you don't just have to just arrest someone at 8 a.m. right before a hearing, a trial, sometimes at 8:30. You could just say, "Hey, we need you to come in," and the judge will probably just come in. I understand that. He said that typically someone who is, quote, not on the run and facing this type of crime would be called and invited to come in to have their fingerprints taken or to schedule a court appearance. He said law enforcement showing up to arrest her is very, very outrageous, in my opinion, and not professional. So that's what's going on with this. Yeah, and that's why you want to read through everything when you understand, right? One, it's a judge just trying to do her job. ICE is essentially trying to, again, get around due process, just arrest people in hallways or whatever. And this has happened twice before. This is, I guess, time number 3 in this courthouse. At least that's what this article says. And then, the last statement from a local, defense attorney that knows this kind of system very, very well, saying this is, outrageous and highly unusual. And I think this is if this kind of stuff continues, meaning that FBI just goes and arrests judges in this way, it's a very dangerous precedent. So that's why I want to go over it with you guys, and I can't stress the importance enough of this story and to follow this. So I do appreciate your time. I want to hear your thoughts on this, and I'll catch you next video.